How's it going, guys, and welcome to RC Cincy. Today we have an unboxing and initial setup for you guys. This is the Goosky S2 Legend. So I purchased this off of Heli Direct. Just a heads up, there are going to be a bunch of Black Friday deals on there, so keep an eye out for that. So technically I've had this for about a week now. I did have to wait for some parts to come in. So let me show you guys the Heli. When I ordered this, I did opt for the 2 batteries. So they give you one in the bind and fly configuration like this is. And I also added 2 Pulse 50C batteries right here. They're 750 milliamps, 11.1 volts, of course. I opted for 2 of these, $15 a piece. You'd be crazy not to do it. Probably should have did 3 or 4, but I did do that. And then I also added the ball links. I was actually very surprised that did not come included with the Heli. I think the M2 comes with a couple extra ball links. This one did not. So this is probably one of the most common things to break is these ball links. So I did get some of those. And then me being me, how clumsy I am with my small screws, I ordered the entire screw set for the helicopter. I think this was $9 and these were like $5 or something. So not bad. I really recommend ordering these with it. And then of course they do give you a set of stickers that was in the outer box. This does come in an outer box. There is a set of stickers. Just beware, don't throw the box away. They may stick to the inside of the box. They're nice big Goosky stickers in there, so keep that in mind. This is the factory battery right here. It is, I guess they kind of rebranded it, 750 45C. So technically the Pulse have a little bit more punch. I don't know if I'll notice it or not, but we will be testing that. So this was the included battery. Normally it does come in the compartment. I just took it out because I had to charge it. I did get 1 flight in this helicopter, just to take off and land, just to basically make sure that everything worked properly and I did it correctly before I recommend my settings. So this is the servo links that they include. They also include the shafts, bearing shafts. They include, not the bearings, but the shafts themselves. They include a couple screws there. What else is in the bottom of here? I'll show you what the shafts look like if I could get them out. Whoops. And of course I would drop it. See why I got the extra screws. There is the main shaft, or the longer part, and then here is another little shaft for it. So that's really cool. And then I showed you guys the servo links. You also get this little manual. I highly recommend getting the app. It shows you where everything plugs in, kind of shows you, the bind and fly transmitter, not the bind and fly, but the ready to fly transmitter, shows you where everything can be plugged in app. Highly recommend getting the app. They did update it initially when this first came out. I guess the Apple one wasn't available or wasn't ready yet. So now Apple does work, because I did download the app for my Apple iPhone and it worked perfectly. Then you go in there and tune it. So let's go ahead and put this battery in just for a second. And then what else you get in here? You get another little set of stickers. Really good looking stickers. I'm holding everything upside down. Excuse that. There's that set of stickers. And then that's pretty much it. That screwdriver is mine. I highly recommend keeping a small Phillips. And I think it's a 1.5 hex. So Allen key or whatever. It's a mixed bag. I wish all of them would have been like Allen key or hex, and then they would have just eliminated the Phillips. I get it, cost, whatever it may be. They did do that route, so beware of that. So let's go ahead and pull out the main event, the helicopter itself. Let me slide this out and kind of put that in the background. These are not, I'll set these for there for now. So it does come with this little, helps keep the blades neatly in there. The helicopter itself is beautiful. There are 3 colors available. I think it's this one, the green and the yellow. Then you have like a red and yellow, and then you have a blue and green. This is my favorite. The second would be the blue and green, and then last but not least, the red and yellow. So this is an absolutely beautiful helicopter. I've had, I want to say 4 or 5 helicopters on the channel. Only 2 of those were 3D capable collective pitch helicopters. So this one is targeted towards your more enthusiast helicopter pilot. I've seen some absolutely incredible videos what this thing is capable of. I'm not capable of doing those tricks. I am learning to flip, fly upside down, so I'm kind of in the process of learning all this stuff. I can, of course, just fly it, no problem, in the stabilized mode. No issues there. Very zippy, a lot of power. So, yeah, just an absolutely beautiful helicopter. You have, looks like nylon skis, flexible. They should be pretty durable. I actually landed really hard when I was in an idle up, the first idle up. I landed kind of hard, and it bounced, and it didn't seem to do any damage whatsoever. It bounced so hard because I didn't realize how much power it had that it popped the hatch open. This thing is insanely not overpowered, but just an insane amount of power in this little helicopter, especially for 3S. It blew me away. So, of course, you have this carbon fiber frame, several pieces, so their parts count is going to be up. You can see all these different pieces. You do get a lot of aluminum for strengthening. You even get a chassis brace there. So they've done a lot of time and research to get this thing solid. It feels solid. This boom is incredible. It's technically an octagon because it does have 8 sides. These edges are beveled. So, you know, octagon, very strong. This is aluminum. The back tail fin is carbon fiber. Where it mounts, the motor mounts to, that piece there is carbon fiber. 3 screws hold the motor. Nice big brushless direct drive motor with that little lock. I forget what that washer is called, but it should not back off at all. Nice big tail blade there. Spinning it around, you can kind of see some of the stuff. You will have to remove the body to really get to it. I guess I'll probably do that later on when I finish the review. It did take me a little while to set it up because there is a few things that I'm going to make you guys aware of. The blades are really, really beautiful. They're 193 millimeters, hence the 200 class. You can see all this CNC aluminum there. Really nice swash plate. The links are plastic. Those are the ones I recommend getting extras for. You can see the servo housing / ball bearings where the shaft runs through. You can see that direct drive, big brushless motor. It is very, very nice. You can see the wires are run from each side. So you have the main motor there, and then your rotor wires run through there. They have a big flight controller there. And then one of the party tricks that I didn't see any other ones do is this latch opens up and allows you to slide the battery in. It is let me grab a battery. It feels like a friction type deal where you just slide it in and it really stays put. Of course, you lock the hatch back. I'm going to share with you guys here in a second. When I installed my receivers and stuff, honestly, I don't think it's the best place where I put them. I just wanted it to look nice. The batteries are a little bit tricky because you don't have that much wire left. So you have to kind of pull up on this XT30 connector, by the way. Pull this up on this and then get it kind of out of the way and then slide the battery in. I honestly am probably going to have to end up changing that because I do have to fight it quite a bit. The wire is a little shorter. If I made this a little longer, but at the same time, if you make it too long, then you can't get it in there. So I love where actually I should make it just a little bit longer just so I can be able to turn it right there a little bit like that, like I just did. So just lift this up, push the battery in. Friction holds it pretty firmly tight. If you go much smaller than a 650, I think you can miss that little back plate there that kind of stops the battery from hitting the motor. There's the connector right there. Balance lead, of course. You just plug this up and then close the door. There are a total of 6 screws holding on this canopy. Feels like it's plastic. Everyone went to plastic. Feels like a plastic canopy, with a nice metal clipping mechanism there. You have a total of 3 screws on this side and then 3 screws on that side. The first 2 are Phillips on both sides, and then the back 2 are like a 1.5 or Allen key or hex key to get that off. And then I installed my satellite receiver and my Bluetooth module in the nose of this. Now, if I get this wire to just angle up a little bit right here, it's much easier to get the battery out. So it's just a matter of having that connector in the right angle, which I did not do before, hence why it slides on so easy now. So just be aware of that. You can see the satellite receiver right there. On this little tray right up here is my satellite receiver and my Bluetooth. Both of them will fit, hence leaving the lights and the full flight controller completely uncovered so I can see the lights. Technically, you can adjust it from there as well. The app just makes it honestly easier, which I'm going to use the app. So let's go ahead and tuck that all up in there and close that. So I'm going to personally use the app now. One thing that you'll need a few things to complete this. So bind and fly, let's say you get the included battery. You don't opt for the other batteries, that's fine, but you'd be crazy not to for that price. You're also going to need a charger. I have the Passport. It does not matter which charger you have. Just please make sure you have a XT30 connector. So most of these leads like this will not include that. I bought an adapter. Of course, you get the little circuit board. You can go lots of different ways to charge that. Passport, this will charge both of them. I would safely charge at 700 milliamps if it was me. You could charge a little faster technically, but I'm just going to take it easy on my batteries. And then I like to land with a decent amount, like a 3.7, 3.6 worst case scenario type scenario. Usually 3.7 is where I like to land. That way the batteries don't puff up, they don't get too warm, and it just doesn't do damage to them. My batteries can last 3-4 years easy, if not longer, right? So that's very key. You're also going to have to provide your transmitter if you do not buy the Ready to Fly. Ready to Fly will come with a charger, a battery, and a transmitter. So technically it's going to complete it that way. You will need a couple tools though, and a couple tools. Now, you don't need the remote receiver because the Ready to Fly one uses the Futaba protocol, which will completely connect to, I think it's Futaba, will connect to it without a remote satellite or anything like that. And technically it is bound when you purchase it. So the switches are all set up. Everything is ready to go. You just need to charge the battery, throw the battery in, possibly download the Bluetooth app if you would like to have adjustability, and then it's all preset on the transmitter. So keep that in mind. I chose an NX8. You do have to do a little bit of work to get this to work. I don't think it's the craziest thing. Battery checker is not the biggest thing, but you should have these. And then you need this little setup that I used. So let me kind of separate everything so we don't get confused here. So your little receivers, your little satellite remote receivers are going to look like this. You are going to need the 3-prong wire one. There are the modern 4-prong that has the little bind button on them. You cannot use a 4-prong. Has to be a 3-prong. Technically, I could use this one, but I have a more modern one, the one I chose. I actually got it from the Heli Direct site, so if you see frequently bought together or whatever, it'll have that, so it makes sense. If you want to use Spectrum, you're going to need a DXM remote satellite receiver. So this is basically what you need. I would just get a more modern version. This one will work just fine, but I have a more modern one. So technically, if you plug it into the port, it does not know how to bind because it has no way of binding it. Even if you press bind on the side, that's for, I think, Futaba protocol transmitters, and it does have S-Bus as well. To use the DXM, you are going to need one of these, and honestly, you are going to need something to bind it. So what you have to do is get a receiver that has the satellite port on the side. That way you can bind the receiver to your transmitter, and then unplug the satellite, put it in the helicopter, and you're ready to go. So another thing is, when I purchased mine, it came with this ridiculously long wire. I think this is a 12-inch wire, I believe, maybe more. So it does come with this silly long one, at least the more modern one does. So this particular unit came with a wire and these two pieces in the bind plug. I stole that wire because it was much, much shorter. Same 3-prong wire, it does not matter. So all you would do, just to show you really quickly, is you would take the one you want to use, plug it into the side of the receiver. This is actually not a bad receiver, but I'm not going to use it. Leave the bind plug in. Then, of course, you're going to need something to power it. So I'm just going to use a 2S little battery with this little ESC that has a servo plug. We're just going to need to basically power it on. Signal wire up top, negatives always down below. Flip the switch. You can see how both of them are flashing. If you did it correctly, both would be flashing. The bind plug has to be in. The ESC is flashing, that doesn't matter. And then leave that flashing like so. Create a profile, which I'll show you now really quickly. Let's unplug that. I'm going to show you how to actually set up the helicopter side of it on a Spectrum receiver. Initially when this first came out, I never saw really much of anything as far as Spectrum goes for it, so I kind of stayed away from it. I think this helicopter has been out around a year, just over a year. I think the S1 is technically newer by a little bit. I would love to have that one, but I think 200 for me, as I'm getting older, I like larger aircraft. For me, airplane is easier to see larger. Same principles with the helicopters, but that's a bright color, and it's not a bad size. I think that's as small as I'm going to go with my 3D helicopters. Let's bump this up a little bit. So let's go ahead and turn the transmitter on. Make sure my throttle lock, everything's on. Well, the model is not powered up. Let's just turn this bad boy on. So it's actually already made it. So what you're going to need to do is, when you create the new one, you're going to have to select helicopter. Do not select drone or airplane. Make sure you select heli. The newer modern ones, you can actually select a picture of it, put a picture of it if you like, download a picture. It's kind of cool. So once you make the model, I would name it obviously, and then you're going to need to start setting up a few things. So one of the first things you want to set up is your throttle curve. Let's go ahead. Let me go back real quick. Let's go ahead and turn the noise down because we don't need it beeping every time we click on something. So once you create the model, name it, then these are the first things you're going to do. First and foremost, throttle cut is absolutely essential for a helicopter. You'll have a bad day if you do not. I don't know why they recommend 130. I've tried that. It didn't work. I do minus 100. I don't know why you'd want to do 130. That's what it had. In the research that I've done, it recommended 130. I'm doing 100. I have tested it. It works just fine. Then as far as the throttle curve is concerned, you are going to have to, for the 3 different flight modes this has, first position is going to be your normal mode. Second position is going to be idle up 1. And then I named them idle up 2. Now it's going to be your normal and normal throttle. And then it's going to be your idle up, mid-range, and then your power. You know what I mean? Your full, just about full idle up. Now it doesn't go all the way to 100%, so let's put it in normal mode. In normal mode, these are the following settings you're going to need. The first one is 0. The second one is 60 all the way down. 60, 60, 60, 60, all the way down to the 5th spot. That is going to be your first switch for normal. Then when you go to your second switch, is going to be your idle up. So you can see position 1 is now 65, 65, 65, 65, 65, all the way down. And then your last position, let me scroll over to it, is 80%. So you're technically not going 100. This thing is insane on power. Now and then you're going to do 80 all the way down. Now that is preferential. This is what they recommend as the first time setting up the model. Obviously people like different tastes. Some people will do 100 head speed or 90 or 95. Some will only do 70 or 75. So it really This is just an initial setup to get the bird in the air, and then you can tune from there on. I think these are good numbers to start at. So let's hit back. Then the next thing you have to do is your pitch curve. For position 1, which is normal mode, I do have voice, is 40, 50, 60, 70, 100. That is for your normal mode position all the way up. The switch I chose to use is switch B. That's actually what they recommend in the manual. Then in idle up 1, you're going to do 0, 25, 50, 75, 100. And then last but not least, your last idle up 1, it's 0, 25, 50, 75, and 100. So those are going to be the same, but obviously it's just going to, those, as far as your pitch is going to be the same. Then, let's hit back. Then you're going to need to choose, when you first bind this, it recommends your stabilization to be on some weird switch. I think from Spectrum it's technically like a D or something weird. I don't like that. I like it to my landing gear. Whatever your gear is, it's the gear switch is what's going to be your stabilization mode. So if you want it to be A, you have to go to system setup. Then you have to go to, what is it? Channel assign. You can see gear is A. Whatever switch you want, stabilization or your OShoot button, I recommend something you can quickly, easily switch, just like throttle hold is on this switch, which is H. So my throttle hold is on H. Throttle hold on, throttle hold off, and then stabilization off, stabilization on, and then not least, your normal mode, idle up 1, idle up 2. There is voice commands already set up for that. So let's listen. Oh wait, the voice is all the way down. Dude.
Volume 65.
This is 65%, so listen.
Normal mode.
Normal mode.
3D mode.
3D mode. That's the call I have. So normal mode is going to be stabilized. When I turn this off,
3D mode.
3D mode, and then
Normal mode. Normal mode.
so that's a normal.
Stunt 1. Idle up 1.
Stunt 1, idle up 1. You can change that obviously.
Stunt 2. Idle up 2.
And then what else?
Throttle cut on. Throttle cut off.
You have to have NX8 or the second gen like 8s. The 8Es do not have voice. That's where you save a few bucks. Technically, there is a brand new 8E that came out. I don't know if that has voice or what this has. The NX line I love. Technically, now they have a 10. And I think they announced a 14 or 12. One of the two. I would love to have a 10 because I eventually, actually a 12 is really where I should go. I eventually want to get a turbine jet down the road many years from now. That was one of my goals. My last goal I achieved was the hydraulic excavator, and I met that. So anyways, sidebar there. But a timer, I did a timer of, let me go back, 5 minutes. Land after, depends how aggressive. Now, you're not going to go in full idle mode aggressively for 5 minutes probably. The way I'm going to fly initially, I'll check the battery the first few flights. I did not do that last time, but I will check the battery a different way. So if I fly in, stabilized normal mode for 5 minutes, I'll check the battery, see where it's at, and I'll just try different modes like that. For 3D, I'm probably going to fly maybe 3 minutes of that, land, and then see where it's at. I don't want to kill these batteries. These are really good batteries. Granted, they're not the most expensive, but still, you want to take care of your batteries. So I just set 5 minutes as a guideline. I think that's what they actually recommend as well. And then as far as monitoring goes, I don't know if it has any telemetry. I cannot remember if it has the telemetry on it. The app is easy to do. It's just literally changing the aggressiveness of the helicopter. You can make it more agile. I'm not going to mess with any of that until I get better, and then I can kind of see what I like more or less. Right now, I'm too new to 3D flying to be going in there doing some crazy stuff. That's why I went with a very cookie cutter generic setup, and then I can learn to tune. But this will get you up in the air. I flew mine no problem. Obviously, the first flight wasn't stabilized. I did try idle up 1, and it was insane. This thing has so much power. I flipped it on, let it get up to its head speed, and I hit it, and it took off like a bat out of heck. I mean, it was so impressive. When I landed, had so much power that I hit the skis and the door opened. Like, it's got so much unbelievable power. You would not believe how much power this thing has. From the research I've done in the past, and what folks that actually fly helicopters, and I've gone to helicopter events, the 2023 SmackDown is where I actually won this transmitter in a raffle. He actually has one of these, and he said it's the best 200 class helicopter. It beats the M2 Evo. It beats all the other ones. Performance, it's incredible. The stabilization's amazing. The flight controller's amazing. The build of the helicopter is amazing. It's durable. It's powerful. A lot of guys that fly will say this, in the same settings, has more power and stays cooler than most helicopters. After I flew, I actually grabbed the motor. You would never want to normally do that. Any other helicopter I've owned, you grab the motor, it is scalding hot. It will literally burn you. This was barely warm to the touch. So was the battery. So whoever engineered the throttle, the ESC and the right battery and the right motor combinations, they got it right. It wasn't real hot. It performed absolutely incredible. So blown away. Like I said, just literally binding your satellite, plugging in just the Bluetooth module, downloading the app, and you're ready to rock. Now, cons. I found one con in this entire helicopter, and it happened to me. So the ones that screw in, the Allen ones, screw into metal. I kind of wish they would have did that for the front. They're just screwing into these tiny little cylinder plastic things, and you kind of screw into the plastic. Well, when I was unscrewing the plastic out of the plastic, the screws are obviously metal, is this one right here broke off. So there's a screw there. It's not coming out, just so it doesn't look silly. And then these other ones are fine. The shell is tight even with that many screws. So technically 2, 4, 5 screws holding on the top piece instead of 6. So that's my only complaint, is it's easy to break those, especially. So I'm glad they made it to where you can get to the battery without having to always take the canopy. I know the M2 and the other ones have the little rubber grommets where you kind of put the canopy over it and slide them on. That's fine. I don't mind this. It is tight to get the canopy off. Once you unscrew the screws, you have to close the blades up, and you can see the shape of it there. It will slide over the blades. It takes a little bit of finagling. Take your time. And then there's a few spots technically for a satellite. Technically, you could put one back here. If you have like a longer wire, route it. Make sure it's not going to rub against anything. Probably I'd route it underneath one of these servos. Speaking of which, really quickly, the servos are metal geared, digital with metal covers is what's mounting them to the servo housing. So there was nothing I felt was cheap or bad about it besides these little screws that go into the plastic. The flight controller looked impressive. Looks like you can manually go in and change things in there. It has different lights for stuff, so you can go in there and click it and change it. It has a bind button on the side. It has technically a tail servo. So this flight controller can be used on other aircraft. Obviously, it has a built-in ESC, so it would be something this size. It's just well put together. And one of the things I did not share yet that you need to do as well, I'm glad I saw that, is print your manual. You do not technically get a manual in here. Why I recommend printing this is one of the most detailed manuals I've seen in a long time. It looks like a kit manual. I used to get those RS4 cars that you'd have to build like a kit, and it looks just like that. It tells you all the tools you need, and then with very high detail how to assemble everything. It tells you which ones, what screw size and what it looks like, and then which ones need thread lock, which ones don't, which ones need grease, anything like that. It's in this manual. Very high detail all through the build. So this would be an amazing kit helicopter if they sold it like that. A lot of guys would absolutely love that. I haven't built many helicopters. I've torn apart and built those older blades back in the day. That was technically my very first helicopter. Had like the little poles with the little look like ping pong balls. That's how long ago I had a helicopter. Very, very long time ago. Early 2000s for sure, if not earlier. I think it was early 2000s. So yeah, just absolutely incredible detail. Talks about the flight controller. It does talk about spare parts. There's a huge spare parts for this. I mean, everything, you name it, every part you can think of, they do carry. And you can't open the flight controller and replace the board. Let's say the flight controller is okay, but the ESC is what's bad. You can't take that apart and just get the ESC instead of having to buy a whole entire flight controller, which makes sense to me. You can't buy the ready to fly. Can't buy the transmitter. Talks about the setup for the ready to fly version. What switch does what. Stuff like that. You can do Expo. I did not do any Expo on this. You can obviously do Expo. I love the NXA. It's actually an incredible radio. You can do Expo in different settings as you like. Like I said, that is a just template to get you up in the air. Being a newer pilot, I recommend those settings, and then obviously going from there. So remember, you are going to need to have this or buy this. This is not a cheap receiver. I think they're like $30-something. So really quickly, the pricing on everything before we wrap up this video. I will try to put links in the description. The helicopter, if you're just to flat out buy the BNF fly helicopter with the included battery, is $350. To add each battery is $15 each. And then while you're there, if you add the satellite radio, you don't get any discounts or anything, is exactly $39.99, so another $40 for the satellite radio. Then you're going to have to buy or find one of these. This receiver with this satellite, which technically will come with a smaller wire, which you're going to need, was like $35.99. And then just a battery to power it up, basically. I think you can just put a JST battery on here, but just be aware where you connect it at. If you get it wrong, you can burn this up. Remember, negative is always at the bottom, positive is next, and then the top is the signal wire. So keep that in mind. It came with the bind plug, so you are going to need that. And of course, your charger if you have the bind and fly version. The NX8 is still available. I think this is a $400 or something radio. I did not buy it, so I'm not sure. I think it's either $400 or $450. Somewhere between there. Hopefully there's some sales on Black Friday for that. The screws, definitely recommend getting the ball links. I think these were 5 and this was like 9. So definitely recommend getting those parts as well. Get as many batteries as you can afford. If you love flying, especially if you're not a beginner pilot. I'm beginner/intermediate. If you're more of a 3D or more, a better pilot than I am, I would probably get at least 3 batteries. They do last a little while, but it's just nice. And there is technically other models I could also use those batteries in. They're a good size, so that's awesome. Yeah, really, really happy. Love the stickers they give you. I love the quality. Guys that have tore this down really quickly has seen the proper, thread lock on the screws that need to be thread locked. I've noticed everything is snug. I didn't notice anything loose or damaged or anything. It did have a quality control sticker on the helicopter, on everything. So they do a great job of getting this together and to you. Like I said, just consider where you want to put it. I just like to leave all this open to allow as much airflow in there and to be able to see the lights and stuff. I didn't want the controllers there. And I really didn't want it on the back because to me that looks like an eyesore. So I think this is tight. It's really, really tight, but the satellite receiver and the Bluetooth module does fit there. You have to fight this wire a little bit. I may make it longer or shorter, not sure yet. If you just tilt it up, the battery will come out. It does go in there. You gotta kind of plug it up and finagle it a little bit. Oh, let me power it on for you guys really quickly. Just show you everything. I'm not gonna, obviously, we're gonna put throttle hold, stunt 1. I like the fact that it lets you know that you have it in collective, so you don't think you accidentally bump it or something happens. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and plug in this battery. Then we're gonna turn it a little bit like this so we can close the hatch. Let me go ahead and close the hatch. There we go. I like to always spread the blades. I like to go up.
Throttle cut on. Throttle cut on.
There we go. You got to give it a second to initialize. You saw the blades move. Just to see before you do anything, just test that the functionality of the helicopter is proper. Pitch forward, pitch back, roll left, roll right. You just want to put the blade straight. You just want to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, moving in the right direction. Always do that when you get done binding and setting up a model. Forward, back, left, right. Tail motor obviously is going to spin when you're giving it power. Stabilization is on. Everything is on. We are in normal flight mode. So what we can actually do is move this back a little bit. Put throttle cut off. And just spin it up for you real quick. That's what it sounds like in a very smooth low. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible power. I will do just idle up for just 1 second. This is idle up 1. I am ready. My finger is ready to be on throttle cut. So this is idle up 1. That's just the first one. This thing is incredible. Of course, being collective pitch, if you don't hit anything, it's not going to go anywhere. It's got so much power that it's literally the vibration and the power just like making it like slowly slide. That's crazy. So let's do throttle cut back off. Let's do idle up 2, stunt 2. There we go. So I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. That has absolutely insane amount of power for 3S. I've watched many videos. I've seen them in person. Obviously, I've never flown at that level, but this thing is bonkers. I was told that it literally does what the big helicopters can do in a smaller size. Insane power. Smooth. You even after those pulls, it's not even really warm. It is absolutely bonkers to me. Oh, my ceiling fan technically is on. It's probably what's helping it move. You can see the lights there. You are going to have a solid blue light. Oh, it looks like, so I have 1, 2, looks like 2 or 3 solid lights. You can see the stabilization. And it's going to try to correct. Because I'm upside down, see that? That's trying to correct. And then let me show you with stabilization off.
3D mode.
It's still going to do it to an extent, more in the sense of AX, 3X. Like if the helicopter's moving, but you're not doing the input. Now, if I'm doing the input and it's upside down, make sure throttle cut is on. See how it's not correcting when I'm actually doing the input? So it's more like an AX, 3X type scenario that if the wind is blowing, it'll help keep the model stable for you, but it's still going to allow you to do the flips, the rolls, all that fun stuff. Technically, you can fly with stabilization on in these other modes, the idle ups. Let me make sure my throttle cut's on. In these other modes like idle up 1, idle up 2, technically you can fly with stabilization. So basically, once you master flying this around understand orientation, the controls, you're whipping it around, you're doing really, really well, and you just want to feel more power and get more of a flight character closer to the real flight characteristics, then you put in idle up 1, and that'll give you that snappiness, but with stabilization. So remember, the controls are going to be 3D, but with stabilization. So it's going to allow you to take off really fast, go down really fast, but it's not going to allow it to do flips or rolls, because that stabilization is going to stop it at a certain percentage depending on how the flight controller is set up. Obviously, I'm sure you can change that as well, but it's just going to allow you to rip around and really feel that power. And then obviously go to idle up 2, you're just going to be insane ripping around. And then the true mode is stabilization off, any of the idle modes. That will allow it to do real helicopter characteristics. A helicopter is not immediately when you're, going, it kind of like floats and turns, gives it the more realistic flight characteristics like a real helicopter. It's not perfect, kind of like spins and turns as you're landing. You know how to do that maneuver. It's all going to be done with stabilization off. It's going to have a little bit of a AX 3X kind of scenario. I wouldn't say AX 3X. It has a very, very nice flight controller on it. They tuned it very well. The performance is absolutely insane. I don't know if the way they designed the cooling on this motor or what. I just think they just got the right combination for this helicopter. I'm blown away. So this is the initial unboxing / setup. I try to give you as much detailed information as possible. I know it's a little long, but I try to give you as much knowledge as I have on it. If you want the technical stuff with all the details of the size motors, ESCs, all that, there's a website. There's tons of videos like that. This is more of just an initial setup, get you up and flying and enjoying this helicopter. Flying an open area field over grass, that's where it's going to do the least amount of damage when you wreck. When you know you're about to hit the ground, just kill. It's inevitable. Kill the throttle, that way your blades aren't spinning into the ground. That's what causes a lot of the damage. And another thing is if you're a couple mistakes high, which I would be being a noob, experimenting and learning, for instance, how to do like a flip or whatever, I would be a couple mistakes up and I would have the OShoot button. This will react pretty quickly once you flip it. So once you actually turn off stabilization in 3D mode, is what I call it in my thing, it will catch itself. Say you're doing a flip and you did the flip, you're like, yeah, but then you're still going forward over correct and you're not correcting the right way and you're starting to go down. Flip that switch on, it will catch it. Now you want to give yourself space. It's not going to be instantaneous to say you're that close to the ground and you hit it. It's going to try like heck to correct it, but it may not do it in time. So make sure not too high where you can't see it, but high enough where you can catch it and you can flip that OShoot button there. So there is an advantage to that. Really nice flight controller. Very similar to Safe on airplanes. You get in a hairy situation, the sun gets in your eye, you lose orientation. It'll help, level the aircraft, figure out where you are, and get that thing turned around. So it does have a thing. At the same time, it can be like a crutch. So I would really recommend getting it down and learning to fly without that. Even if you're just doing scale flying with the stabilization off and like idle up 1, you're not doing 3D flips, fine, but at least you're getting that realistic turning and handling of a helicopter. So I think that's a bonus in itself. That's true scale flying, not with stabilization on. So there you have it, guys. The initial thoughts, everything I shared, the things you should have or should get for it. We went over all the information I have right now. I will have a flight video. There will be technically it's not the maiden, but it would be, I literally just took off maybe a few feet. Just make sure everything worked. It went forward, it went back. It was more of a test than a maiden flight, in my opinion. There will be a flight video coming soon on the channel, and then we'll see if we can maybe learn some tricks together and see if I could do a flip or a roll for you guys. Something cool like that, at least a flip. That would be awesome. I would love to do tricks like that. The other two helicopters I had that were 3D, one of them was the 130 Blast. That's an incredible small little blade helicopter. That thing will flip, roll, do all that fun stuff. I should have spent more time with that. And then I had a I want to say it's a 200 class, maybe bigger. It was 3S power, big old battery. Man, I wish I knew the model number. It's on the channel. It's a brushless helicopter. It was 3D and 6G, so you can do, the 3D acrobatic stuff, and you can flip a switch and fly like a normal drone, basically similar to drone controls in a sense of, up, down, yaw, turning left and right, pitch forward, pitch back, roll right, roll left. So it's very simplistic in those characteristics. That one was the one I had quality control issues with, where there wasn't a screw or something tight. The shaft would spin, but the blades wouldn't. Then something else, it was loose again, and it caused me to wreck, which damaged something on the head, and I couldn't find the right parts. So if you get a helicopter, guys, get a brand that you know is going to carry the parts for you guys and stand behind their product. Like I said, the guy that hosts the event, Lori, he recommended this. He said it's literally the best 200 size helicopter. I just wanted something that I didn't have to put a bunch of money in. I don't have to keep messing with it, and it just performs absolutely incredible and looks the part too. I absolutely love it. Guys, they knocked this out of the park with the Legend. So, good name for it. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.